Welcome, welcome, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday. Today, we are going to be talking about build your cash calendar, or how to build your cash calendar, how to create consistent income months in advance. And what if you could predict exactly how much income your business will make months in advance? Imagine never having to guess where your next client is coming from because it's already scheduled. Does that sound impossible? Well, it's not. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to build your calendar so that your income becomes consistent, predictable, and scalable, even if you're currently flying by the seat of your pants. So stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll know how to take full control of your revenue and finally stop worrying about when your next sale will come in. So I'm Heather Blaze. Hi there. If you don't know me, I help coaches, consultants, and experts like you stop chasing leads and start closing consistent high ticket clients every single month on autopilot. And over the years, I've helped my clients go from struggling to make ends meet to booking out their calendars and building six-figure income streams with just one single offer. And I do it by giving them real business infrastructure, not fluffy hacks. So if you've ever felt anxious about opening your calendar, maybe wondering whether you're booked or you're going to be broke, this is going to be for you because I've been there and I know what it's like to hustle hard and still have income roller coasters. But once I figured out how to build a cash calendar, everything changed. And I want that same freedom for you. So here's what we're going to dive into today. The first thing we're going to dive into is why most entrepreneurs struggle with income consistency and what's really causing that feast or famine cycle. The second thing is the three core pillars of a cash calendar system that creates steady high ticket income. And then the third thing is then how do we reverse engineer your revenue goals month by month? And the fourth thing is the exact steps to start building your cash calendar this week, even if your current schedule is a total mess. So also stay tuned till the very end because I'll also be giving you a simple bonus trick um, that most coaches miss, but that will turn your calendar into a client magnet. So let's talk about the first thing. Okay. Why are most entrepreneurs struggling with income consistency? And it seems like it's kind of glitching out here. So hopefully it's smooth, but I'm seeing a delay on my end. But anyway, let me know in the comments if you can hear me and if it's choppy or whatnot. But anyway, back to the consistency. So let's find out the root cause of what the chaos is. So most entrepreneurs run their business reactively. They wait until things are dry before they promote again. They go from all in content or all in on their content or offers only to burn out and disappear. And the cycle just kind of repeats. It's like rinse and repeat. Um, so this is what it's like the feast or famine mode, but I call it the panic to promo pipeline. And it's like being on a treadmill that randomly speeds up and throws you off when you least expect it. But here's the thing, the problem isn't your product and it's not even your work ethic. It's your lack of strategic rhythm. So without rhythm, you're always guessing. And when you're guessing, you're leaking both time and money. Does that make sense? So it's like trying to run a restaurant without a menu, without set hours, and with random ingredients showing up whenever suppliers feel like it. How would that be? Right? That would be total chaos. And yet that's how so many really entrepreneurs operate. So no wonder they feel stuck. And I mean, it's pretty understandable because our society doesn't really teach us to be business owners, right? It teaches us to be workers, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, work, 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 do, do, do. They never teach us to be business owners. So, how would you know? Right. But the good news is that you can fix this fast and it doesn't require more hustle. It just requires a smarter strategy. And that's where the cash calendar comes in. Now, let me walk you through the three essential pillars of this cash calendar first. So, think of these as the engine, the fuel, and GPS of your revenue machine. Okay. If you miss one and the system breaks down, right? Um, but get all three aligned, then you're on the road to consistent high ticket months. So the first pillar is predictable lead generation. This is where the flow of qualified leads comes in. So if you're not consistently attracting the right people who want your offer, your calendar, and your bank, and your sorry, if you're not attracting the right people who are ready to buy, right? Ready to buy what you offer, like they're out there, they're looking for you and they can't find you, right? If you don't have a consistent flow of how to get them to find you, call you, and pay you, right? Your bank account will always feel empty. So we're not talking about random traffic or social media likes and follows and all that. I mean, a system that brings in those right people, the ones who are ready, able, and willing to invest. So, for example, many of my clients use a combination of targeted content, email nurturing, and a conversion focused free masterclass. Basically, that works like a magnet. It creates that know, like, and trust, on autopilot. So it doesn't have to take months or years to create that know, like, and trust. We can do it if it's structured properly. And there's a formula on how to put it together properly so that it does that. It sets them up as the go-to against the competition. It creates that know, like, and trust factor. It provides a lot of value for the client and clarity so that they understand why you're different and your offer is different and why it will work versus anything else they've tried, right? So that leads them into booking a call with you. So they're not chasing leads. It's a magnet, right? So leads come to them already pre-qualified. Okay. The second pillar is strategic offer positioning. So your offer must be positioned not just as another service, but as the solution to a painful, expensive problem that your ideal client is already experiencing. When your messaging and positioning are on point, you stop selling and you start enrolling. So clients feel like you've read their minds. They're just like they think you're like this fly on the wall, listening to their conversations. And they're eager to work with you because they feel understood, they feel heard, they feel like you can communicate their problem better than they can. So this pillar is about clarity and conviction. So you need to know exactly what you're offering, who it's for, and why it's worth every penny. If you're confused, your clients are going to be too. Does that make sense? Put in the comments if you've experienced something like that before, if that's what you think is going on in your business. And then let's move on to pillar number 3, which is revenue mapping. So this is where the cash calendar starts to come to life. You break down your income goals into actionable, scheduled activities. So instead of saying, I want to make 20,000 this month, you say, to make 20,000 this month, I need to enroll 4 clients into my $5,000 program. Right? That means I need to book 10 sales calls. That means I need 50 warm leads. That means I need X emails sent, Y posts created, and Z people registered for my masterclass, right? That's what a cash calendar does. It turns vague goals into measurable actions, and it gives you clarity on exactly what needs to happen every week to hit your goals. So then there's no guesswork. Make sense? So now let's break this down even further and discuss how to reverse engineer your revenue goals month by month. And this simply means starting with the end in mind and working backwards, obviously, right? I remember years ago, gosh, it was back in 1998 or 99. I remember talking to a friend of mine. She was my roommate, I think, at the time, or she was my roommate at one point. Anyway, she said, you need to start with the end in mind when you're doing your goals. You should go and write down your goals. This is before, this is when I had just started out. I'm like, okay, write down your goals. How do you do that? I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do next week, let alone 5 years from now. She's like, no, you got to start at least 5 years in advance. She recommended 15. Start 15 years in advance and work your way backwards. Where do you want to see? Where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself with? How, in 15 years, and then work backwards from there. And I was like, that sounds crazy. Like, how do I even do that? But I went traveling to Australia, to Sydney, at the time, and we went to Bondi Beach and brought our paper and wrote down the goals. And within, I think it was only 5 years, we achieved everything that we had written down in the 15 that we wanted to achieve in the 15 years. So, yeah, it was interesting. Anyway, everything, I mean, there was a few things that were different because, you pivot and stuff. But basically, I don't know, I'd say probably 10 out of the 12 things on the list were happened before the 15-year mark. So that's the power of goal setting. So anyway, again, starting with the end in mind, working backwards. So let's say your goal is to hit 15,000 next month. Ask yourself, what offer or offers am I selling to get there? So maybe you have a $5,000 coaching program, and that means you need 3 clients. Simple, right? But here's where the power comes in. You don't stop at I need 3 clients. You can go deeper. What conversion rate do I usually have on sales calls? So let's say you have a 30% conversion rate, right? Meaning 30, you convert or enroll 30% of the people that you have a phone call with, okay, a sales call with. So let's say your conversion rate is 30%. How many calls do you need to get booked to get those 3 clients? Well, you need around 10 if your conversion rate is 30%. So then you ask yourself, well, what's my average show up rate? Well, maybe only 70% of the people that booked calls actually show up. The other 30%, have an emergency or they no show or whatever, right? It's very rare to have 100% show up rate of people that book calls. I mean, life happens, right? So then if you know that, okay, if you look at your data, and you should be tracking all this stuff, you look at your data and you notice, okay, 70% of people are showing up. So I'll need to book about 14 calls if that's the case to ensure that 10 show up. So now you break it down to, okay, how many leads do I need to generate 14 booked calls? Well, it depends on your funnel, but let's say you need 100 warm leads, right? There's warm leads and there's cold leads. Do you know the difference? Write down in the comments if you know the difference between a warm lead and a cold lead, because I always hear this from a lot of people, like, what's a warm lead? What's a cold lead? They get confused with that. And if you don't know, then I'll give you the answer. Anyway, once you've got these numbers, you start plugging them into your calendar. So when are you promoting, right? What are you emailing? When are you hosting the webinar, right? When are you opening the cart if you have that, right? When are you following up? Okay. When you see these pieces on your calendar, it stops being overwhelming and it starts being predictable. Can you see that? So this is what separates serious entrepreneurs from those just hoping that it works out. And I know some of you are thinking, this sounds great, but I don't even have time to breathe, let alone plan out a whole cash strategy. And I get that. That was me too, juggling client work, content creation amid or admin, and trying to stay sane, as life happens. I've been a single mom since day one, and my son's 11. So I guess my business is about the same age, actually, because I started planning it when I was 5 months pregnant with him. So, you know, but anyway, here's the truth really is, if you don't make time to plan your cash flow, guess what happens? Your business will just keep stealing your time and your peace. So let's break it down into bite-sized steps that you can implement this week. So the first step, okay, step number 1 is get clear on your income goal and what your core offer is. So don't skip this. You need one primary offer to build around. Otherwise, your calendar is going to be total chaos. The second step is you want to audit your current schedule. So where are the money-making activities? Are they even blocked off? If not, that's your first fix. And what do you think is your first money-making activity? The first money-making activity is being actually on a call, right? The second, if you're not on a call, then it's getting calls scheduled. If you don't have any calls scheduled, then what do you need to work on to get the call scheduled, right? You're working backwards and finding out, what are those priorities, right? Step 3 then is map your lead gen rhythm out. Okay? Your lead generation, right? Your lead gen. So if you only market when you're desperate, then it's too late. You need a weekly automated rhythm that nurtures leads before they're ready to buy. This could be content, this could be DMs, this could be emails, this could be ads, this could be lives, as long as it's predictable and consistent. Those are the main things. So step 4 then is to plug in those revenue driving activities into your calendar first, right? So again, sales calls, launch prep, webinar dates, follow-up workflows, these aren't things to fit in when you can. These are the main events, okay, that you really need to focus on, and then everything else comes after. So think of it like packing a suitcase, right? You put your big items in, your jacket, your shoes. Well, I usually put, like, if I have a hat, I put my hat first, and then I kind of build everything around that. I was just going over this with my boyfriend's son the other day, and because he's leaving for college tomorrow. But anyway, you put your hat in and then you kind of build around that because you don't want your hat to squish up, right? Or you put your shoes in because they're dirty, whatever, right? And then you stuff your shoes. This is how I do it anyway. But there's a strategy. There's always a strategy. I don't know. If you just throw stuff in, then I don't know. Don't really have a strategy, but I always have a strategy for everything. But you put your big items in, you put your jacket, your shoes first, right? Then you fit in your socks and your t-shirts. If you reverse it, nothing's really going to fit. Like, I roll everything up and I fit it all around so I get the most. I usually only travel with carry-ons. Like, I can do 2 weeks with a carry-on. Well, you get carry-on and then you get your personal item, right? Anyway, I don't like to wait. I don't like to wait for my check-in luggage if I don't have to. So I try to always carry on. But anyway, that's what your calendar should look like, anchored by the big things that really make you the most money, and then everything else follows, right? Now, here's something that most people miss though. They don't build in marketing rest periods. So burnout isn't caused by doing too much, it's caused by doing too much without recovery, just like working out. So your cash calendar should include intentional recovery weeks where you don't launch, but you nurture, you repurpose content, you reconnect with your audience, or you just breathe, right? Because whatever energy you're putting out, you're going to get back. So you want to make sure that you're in really good energy to attract the type of clients that you ideally want to work with. So if you're putting out like frantic, scarcity, or whatever energy, that's the type of client that is going to come back to you, because your business is like a mirror. So whatever type of a client you want to attract, you also want to be that type of client. Just a little tip there. Anyway, one of my clients used to use this method to go from like unpredictable. She was doing about $3,000 months to then 20K plus months without burning out, because she learned to pace her energy and her promos, really. So also use your calendar to track not just what you do, but what works. So that way you're not reinventing the wheel every month, you're improving it. So if this episode lit a fire under you and you're ready to stop guessing and start planning your income months in advance, I want to invite you to my free webinar. You can join in by finding the link in the description here. And in it, I'll walk you through the exact system I use with my clients to go from chaos to content, high ticket months without burning out. And if you're serious about building your empire, hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and drop a comment below, because I'm building my cash calendar. So I know you're with me, right? So let's quickly recap what we covered today. We covered the real reason why your income isn't consistent. Hint, right? It's not your offer, it's your rhythm. We covered the 3 pillars of a true cash calendar, how to reverse engineer your goals, and the exact steps to start building yours this week. So you're not broken. Remember that. Your offer isn't the problem either. You just need a system, and now you have it. So go start building. Your future clients are waiting. They're out there struggling. They need you. And in our next video, I'll be showing you how to nail the sale, the premium client conversion blueprint. So I am here every Thursday if you want to join me here, or you can just watch the next video right here. All right. Take care, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.